Hey guys, welcome to Sippin Spillin with Syd from through Mississippi. I'm stopped at a gas station. I I'm in West Point right now. I went to go pick up the nesting boxes for the coop, and they need a good cleaning, a good scrub a dubbin, but they're in decent shape, and I think they will serve their purpose. I feel like I've been driving all day because I went to Tupelo this morning. Well, this afternoon. They called me at like 11 o'clock and they were like, hey, uh, you've got a package. And my goslings were in, so I went and grabbed them, and they're adorable. I am in love. I cannot wait to snuggle them and watch TV this evening. Like, that will be the highlight of my day. 100%. Um, they are the cutest. I'm in love. They're so fun. They love people so much. These Sebastopol geese just love people. So when it's not like with chickens, where every once in a while you get a special chicken that gets like excited or really likes people, um, they just like want to be near you. And they want to, like, when you walk in there in the brooder, they're like, they start doing their little, they're completely adorable. I was very low on gas. Um, I've got my microphone on. Hopefully, I just feel like it's so loud right here, but we'll see. Then we're gonna drive home, and we're gonna get these nesting boxes out. We'll get them cleaned up. I may not clean them up today because I am behind uh, on editing, and today I didn't expect to have to drive into Tupelo, so that was like 2.5 hours of time that I thought I was gonna be editing this afternoon before I came to pick these up. So once I get home, I will. In all honesty, probably just leave them in the back of the truck until tomorrow, and maybe, well, no, I won't have time tomorrow. Yep, I'll probably pull them out tonight, and then, but I'll probably clean them like Thursday, um, and get that all squared away. And then, of course, uh, tonight I'm filming this on a Tuesday, but of course you guys are seeing it on a Wednesday, and we have our live with you guys tonight. So maybe I will have one of the goslings make a special appearance. The pump just shut off. I got to take it out. Although in theory, you guys can still hear me right now. And I'm just telling it I'm done. Done. No, I do not hear your feet. There we go. That wasn't too bad. Okay. There we go. So now, gotta get this all geared up here for the drive. Lordy. Just looped around. Away we go. So, luckily, it's gonna rain Wednesday. It's supposed to be nice on Thursday. And then it's going to be nice. Then it's going to rain Friday. And then it's supposed to be nice on Saturday. And then like all next week, starting Sunday, is just rain. So I'm hoping, hoping we can get some real finishing touches and progress done on the coop. Got it all painted. Got it all the wood stained that's currently up. There's going to be a few more slats that are not up yet that I'll have to stain, and then some slats that are going on the top for the chicken wire to attach to that I'll need to stain. But again, that's pretty minor, and it'll be easy because I can do them before he puts them up. So because they're going up really high, and if I can avoid, getting on a ladder on uneven ground, I will avoid that. But sometimes you can't. Sometimes you just gotta roll with it. I was racing the clock yesterday trying to get the coop painted before it got too dark. But I managed, and I used, it took a whole gallon of white paint to paint that T11. That stuff just, I always forget how much paint it really does soak up. It's kind of crazy. It really just does. It's like thirsty material, and then it's got those big grooves in it, and it's so textured. I actually had to switch rollers because it beat up the roller so bad. Well, plus I was trying to push on it because up top I had the pole extender, so up top I had to really kind of run it over the grooves to get the paint down the creases. But I got it done. I was happy about that. And then Frankie and Mike, towards the tail end of that, they ended up. We had some big divots from between rain and when we had to move our buddy's trailer that had been behind the shop, kind of moving some vehicles around and stuff back there, sort of made a bunch of big divots. Really ate up the ground there, and so there were these big, like, you couldn't drive through it, these big muddy messes, and it was just it was getting worse, not better, obviously, with all the rain. So they moved a bunch of dry dirt that was in the old garden bed, kind of near where he has his garlic for right now. But Frankie and Mike scooped up a bunch of the dirt from there and laid it and graded those holes. So now it's nice and even over there for moving the tractor and vehicles and things like that. And hopefully it will do better and not create more big water puddles over the next week of rain that we're about to have. So I am looking forward to not having it look like quite a muddy mess out there. And it should, because of the dirt that they use and the way they packed it, it should stay pretty well through the rain. It'll get better once the grass kind of recovers in that area and all of that, but not too shabby. Frankie's, her skills on the tractor cannot be beat, so she's real good about, she was grading it out and digging out the dirt and then pushing the bucket back over and pulling it. And I was only kind of half paying attention because I was painting the coop and racing the daylight and filming at the same time. So my main focus was elsewhere. If I'd had more time, I would have liked to kind of film some of that, but I can only do so much at one time, I suppose. But I think that's going to make a difference for the muddy mess over there and walking through it, the dogs going, because of course, what dog doesn't love a big mud puddle? And, getting anything stuck. We were having to switch everything into 4-wheel drive just to get through there. And so in theory, this will make that a little bit smoother, which will be nice. And I don't think we're supposed to get like a ton of rain. I think it's just supposed to be like off and on showers. I don't think it's like a giant storm until next week. I think next week's the week we're supposed to get some like potentially severe thunderstorms, which we're about due. We haven't had a severe thunderstorm in like 2-3 weeks. We've had the frost that we're just coming out of, and silly me, I forgot to bring in my hanging plants from the porch, and there was one of them. I have 3 out there right now. One of them is fine because it's really hardy. The other one's like a little injured, and the other one may not make it because it's a lot more delicate. Don't ask me what the names of these plants are because I don't know. One of them is kind of a pretty purple and green. I remember having this plant before, and it was called a wandering Jew or a wandering Jude, something like that. But I don't. It looks very similar to that, but I don't know if it's the same thing or not. I am not good with plants, clearly, because I forgot to bring them in, even though I got the frost warnings and all that. But what are you gonna do? So I brought them in this morning when I realized they were looking a little peaked, and thought, well, maybe if I warm them, let them sit in the house for a little bit where it's a little bit warmer, they might perk up a little bit, and then, then I'll put them back out to pasture. We'll see how they do. But I keep a good thought for my hanging plants, my spring plants. Hopefully they make it. They were doing so well too. They'd already grown a bit, and they were starting to hang over, and And then tragedy struck because I simply forgot about them to bring them in. That is, I mean, I've been watering them and stuff, but yeah. And Marvin, the houseplant, is doing wonderfully. He's thriving. He's 30, flirty, and thriving. He's wonderful. He's living his best life by the front door. And as Mike will tell you, there's like no daylight right there, but he's doing good. And then my plant that I have that hangs over uh, the bench seating by the big bay window in the living room is like growing like a weed. So looks great. I don't know what I'm going to do when it gets so long that it's like really hanging and obstructing the view. I did not think that far ahead. Before, I had a plant that was pretty much the same kind of plant, one of those hanging house plants. You guys know they're pretty generic. And we had wrapped it around, it was in front of a window, and we had wrapped it around the vines as they grew, the hanging things. We had kind of draped it over the curtain rod, and it kind of just grew into the curtain rod. And then one day it like got broke, and so like that part of the plant kind of died. So I may have to like trim it back. I don't know what I'm going to do with that, or maybe I'll move that one outside when it gets bigger and then put a new one there. I don't know. I've not thought this through at all. Mike's plants that are in the shop, his seedlings, seem to have made it through it getting so cold in there. He was worried about losing some of them. I guess a couple of them didn't do fantastic, and a couple of them were a little cranky. But I don't think he had any major losses, so that was a win. Sometimes despite your best efforts, same thing with your plants, your animals. You could do everything right. You can have all of the things and do all of the things, and sometimes it's like failure to thrive. There's outside extenuating circumstances that just affect that particular plant or that particular animal differently, and they just don't make it. And it's a hard lesson sometimes because you've put a lot into them, and time and money and effort. It can be a little bit disheartening sometimes when they don't make it, but at the end of all of that, it's a numbers game. So sometimes it's you're going to have a certain amount of loss, and you have to understand that there's going to be a certain amount of loss when you're raising plants and animals. The potential loss of the 2 hanging plants on the porch, though, is 100% me, because I just was not thinking about that for the frost. I like made sure the birds had extra protein that couple of days, and I made sure that they had extra clean, fluffy bedding, and all those things. But I forgot about the plants, so that's all right. But the goslings are all settled in. I can't wait to go home and peek in on them again and make sure they're still doing well. I had to dig through, I packed up all my animal stuff, and I'm short, right? So sometimes Mike will put things where I don't, like they're above my eye level, and I don't think to look up, because when I put things places, I put them like at eye level or down, because that's my territory, okay? So my stuff, I never put up high. And so I had made a corner in the shop that was all of my animal stuff. Well, when he then was unpacking his plant stuff, when he was getting ready to plant his seedlings and things, he moved all of my animal stuff to the opposite corner of the shop because of where he was setting up his plants, and he just felt it worked better. And I'm hunting everywhere for this box because there were wristbands in it for the birds, and I'm going, I know I have them. I know I have all of this stuff together in one place. Like I had my goat bander in there, and the extra bands. I had some ivermectin. I had some extra waterers and things like that. And I'm going, I know I have another box, and I know I put it with the animal stuff. So I'm over there looking in the animal stuff, and he's out there trying to help me look. And he's like, well, what was it in? And I'm like, I don't remember, because I packed it like, almost a year ago now. I don't remember what was in that box. I haven't had to get into this box for that long because we didn't have anything yet. And but I need those bands, and I know they're here, and anyway, so we're stumbling around the shop like, 2 blind mice. And And I'm going, I just don't understand it. It must have been in a cardboard box because we didn't have that many of the totes. And I'm trying to like retrace my steps and remember what it was in and trying to think back to when I packed them. And then all of a sudden, the stand-up freezer that's in there, he goes, "What's this box?" And I look up and I'm like, that's it. That's gotta be it. And it's this long flat box. And 100%, it had my bander, it had some ivermectin, it had my bands, it had like all my weird animal paraphernalia that I had in there for the, it had my sheep shearer, had all my stuff in there. And I was like, I knew it. And my muck boots, my old muck boots were in there too. And I was like, see, I knew I had all this stuff in one spot. But anyway, so found that, so that's good because I need to change. They've got the temporary, the Goslings have the little temporary bands on right now. They're like real tight. They're almost like not zip ties, but similar to a zip tie. And they can't stay on past like day 3. They'll cut off circulation. So you got to give them the bigger ones and, step them up accordingly. And I'm doing that because I want to be able to, they're sexed, and so I know I've got the 2 boys and the 2 girls, and right now it's real easy to tell them apart, the boys from the girls. The girls have a much more pronounced dark saddle pattern on them. This is where I always get confused. Am I going right or left here? From West Point, I go this way. That's right. I gotta remember north, south, east, west. When I'm coming back from Tupelo, I gotta go that way. When I'm coming back from West Point, I gotta go this way. So, but are you proud? I don't have my GPS on, driving all by myself, figuring it out. I know that may not seem like a big deal to some of you, but that's a big deal. Basically, anytime I'm driving in the car and with talking to you guys, it means I don't have my GPS on, and you should be extremely proud because it takes time to learn your way around. And there's like all these little back roads that I'm learning. I learned one today because I went into Tupelo via going through town, which I've never done before, and it took me through this whole other little community, and I was like, oh, and then I was like, this is where the 32 crosses, and like, oh, this is where, so I was like, okay, it like kind of connected some dots for me, which I could probably do by looking at a map, but it's not nearly as fun as when you discover it and can like put context to it, because if I just look at a map, it doesn't really help me that much. But anyway, so I got to change their leg bands. So I've got them color coordinated because once they lose their initial Gosling fluff and they start to feather out, those dark patches that looks like a saddle over the girl's wings and on her head will diminish. And then they go through this period where you really can't tell them apart. So it'll be nice to have bands on them so that I'll know, like, those are definitely my boys, those are definitely my girls. Like, I can kind of keep an eye and I can separate if I need to and whatever. Not that I should have to separate them, but if, for example, if I wanted to later down the line know, like, if I added or bred any, I would know these are my originals, these are the new ones, like, I'd be able to tell. So it just makes it a little bit easier when you kind of mark them, because once they reach maturity, it's very subtle differences between the males and females without venting them or seeing certain behavior. And they only exhibit mating behavior and nesting behavior for like a blink in the spring. They only lay a few eggs a year, and then that's it. So like maybe somewhere between 10 to 20 eggs in their season, and then they don't lay again the rest of the year. And so the boys get rowdy for a little bit, and then they're not rowdy anymore. So it's a very quick like thing, and that's really, there is a little bit of difference in how they carry themselves and the way that they vocalize, but it's very subtle. And so if you're not super familiar with it, it's not always easy to be able to distinguish between the two. But that's why I'm going to band them, so I can kind of keep track. We'll see if it works. I've tried banding birds before, and inevitably, with larger birds like that, I end up having to take them off, or they outgrow them and I can't get a bigger one, and then I just give up and whatever, because, you know, so I'm going to have to, these ones I have right now will work for them for quite a while, but I may have to invest in some larger ones eventually. But at the time that I got these were the largest ones that I could find. So, because you obviously don't want them to cut off, you know, circulation to their feet, because that would be bad, and you don't want it to like cut into their leg, because that can cause infection and all kinds of other problems, and that would be bad. So I'm excited to get home and cuddle these goslings, and I still need help with names on them, guys. I've got, you know, Millie, I had Hugh and Annie and Harrison. So now I need some more like names that fit that. You know, I'm kind of was kicking around the idea of like maybe like Lottie, like Charlotte, and calling her Lottie. I don't know. I'm kind of like older, fashiony sounding names, like an English gentlewoman or something, or maybe even Irish. Just seems to fit the breed because of their heritage and all that. And I just think it looks like them because they're so regal and yet slightly cheeky. So think of some good names for me. Drop it in the comments below. I'd appreciate it. I have nothing like Fluffy or Snowball. It's not allowed. If you don't know what a Sebastopol goose looks like when it's full grown, please Google it. They are beautiful. They have blue eyes, white curly feathers. They're beautiful birds. So can't wait to see you guys tonight on the live. Maybe we will have a special guest appearance by some of the goslings. We'll see. So yes, 3 Mississippi tonight, 6 p.m. Central. Come hang out with us and the goslings yet to be named. And I hope you're having a very, very blessed week so far. I know I am. It's amazing. I love this time of year. So thank you guys for hanging out with me, and I appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.